When people are moving to a new state or city, one of the main things they want to know is, what are the costs going to be where they move to compared to where they currently live? Today, we are going to explore the cost of living in Atlanta, Georgia versus the 7 largest cities in Texas. Let's do it. Hey, Jonathan McCoy here, and on this channel we talk about all things living, working, playing, exploring, and breathing Atlanta, Georgia, and the metro Atlanta area. I got people just like you calling me and contacting me constantly about moving to the Atlanta area. Today, I'm going to help you out by understanding the cost differences between the 7 largest cities in Texas and Atlanta, Georgia. Before we do that, I will prepare you that there are definitely differences between Texas living and Georgia living. While I have never lived in Texas, my wife lived there during her high school and college years and a few years after college. So I have gotten some insight on Texas living. And we do go back to Texas pretty often to visit friends of my wife as well as explore more parts of Texas. One of the big things I've noticed is Texans are very proud of being from Texas. I remember having a conversation with one of my wife's friends, and we somehow got on the subject of high school and what we studied, and he brought up studying Texas history. He then asked me about what I thought about studying Texas history here in Georgia. Well, to his surprise, I told him that never to study Texas history, and in Georgia, we had Georgia history classes. As we talked, it sounded like he thought Texas history was taught in every single state in the US, and he was shocked to find out it wasn't. Sorry to disappoint. And I was amazed to hear from a number of friends that are Texans how their vacations oftentimes involve just going to other places in Texas. Now, I know that this is not everyone, and there are plenty of Texans that have traveled the US and the world, but in all of my travels, the people who love their state the most are definitely Texans. Be prepared when coming here that though we love Georgia, we are not as in love with Georgia as Texans are in love with Texas. And that's okay. I really like Texas when I visit, but Georgia is definitely home, and it could be home for you too. Enough with the side stories, let's jump into some numbers. When it comes to moving to Georgia, unless you're moving from the Austin area, you will likely incur higher cost of living here than you will in Texas. In my research, if you live in Dallas, your average home cost is about $245,000. In Houston area, $205,000. San Antonio is $203,000, and Fort Worth is $227,000 for the price of a home. If you are from El Paso or Corpus Christi, it's even lower. In El Paso, the average cost of a home is $153,000, and in Corpus Christi, it's $180,000. If we compare those cities to Atlanta, all of those cities have lower housing costs. When it comes to Atlanta, Atlanta comes in around $311,000 for the average price of a home. If we go to some of the suburbs of Atlanta like Duluth or Tucker, you can find housing costs for around $290,000. If you go just north of Atlanta to a city like Alpharetta, where a house will likely cost you around $450,000. Go northwest and you'll find Marietta, where houses sell for around $335,000. As stated earlier, the only major city in Texas that has higher costs for homes than Atlanta is Austin, which the average sales price for a home is $455,000. Of course, we know housing isn't everything, but it's a major cost of living. Let's take a look at some more items. Food and groceries, for instance. Well, they cost a little bit more here in Georgia than they do in Texas. If you're moving from Dallas, Houston, Austin, or Fort Worth, you will see about a 1% higher cost in Atlanta than there. If you're moving from San Antonio, El Paso, or Corpus Christi, you will see a jump of around 8% higher for food costs here in Atlanta. If we now go and look at utilities, you will also see an increase in costs. Compared to Corpus Christi, Fort Worth, Dallas, and Austin, you'll see around a 3% increase in costs for your utilities. When compared to Houston, San Antonio, and El Paso, you're going to see a jump of around 7% here in Atlanta. But hey, I do have some good news. What you pay for health coverage and the cost of your health will be less here in Atlanta on average. If you're currently living in Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, or Austin, you'll see a drop of around 2% in your healthcare cost. Moving from Fort Worth, El Paso, or Corpus Christi, you'll see a drop of around 7%. Now, let's look at this scenario. Let us compare what you make now to what you will need to make in Atlanta to maintain your same standard of living. We'll run through this scenario of a person or family moving to Atlanta that is making $100,000 per year in Texas. So, what do you need to make to now maintain your same standard of living? If moving from Dallas, Houston, or Fort Worth and you're currently making $100,000 per year, you'll need to make around $108,000 when moving to Atlanta. Meaning that you would need to make about $8,000 more a year to maintain your same standard of living. That jumps up if you're moving from San Antonio, as you would need to increase your salary to $120,000. And the biggest jump is if you're moving from El Paso or Corpus Christi. Moving from those cities, you will need to increase your salary to $130,000 a year. But if you're moving from Austin, you would only need to make $89,000 a year here in Atlanta to maintain your same standard of living. These stats can really be helpful and valuable if you're being transferred from your city to Atlanta. Let your employer know that your new cost of living will be higher, and this maybe will help you increase your chances of getting a raise when you move here. I hope these numbers and this info is helpful for you to understand what the cost of living differences will be here in Atlanta versus Texas. I post videos like this one every Thursday about living, working, playing in Atlanta, buying and selling real estate, home ownership, and more. If you have a specific question about your needs, then please send me an email, shoot me a text, give me a call, or put a comment in the section below. It would be my pleasure to answer your questions that you have. I just love helping people just like you make the move and transition here to this wonderful city that is Atlanta. And don't miss the videos I made, the 20 things you need to know about living in Atlanta, and the 10 things you'll love about Atlanta. Hit that subscription button, click on the notification bell. Thanks, and I will see you next time.